What is truthful acting? Our guest today is a world-renowned acting teacher, writer and director. He's coached many A-list actors, including Brad Pitt, Will Smith and Jennifer Connelly. And stay tuned as we give the details for the $5,000 Actors Scholarship. You're watching The Actors Process, and I am your host and acting junkie, Claire Elizabeth D. And it is my great pleasure to welcome the fine man himself, Howard Fine.
Hi, Claire. Nice to be
here.
Hi,
Howard. Thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure.
I'm actually so excited to have you here, not only because I have done many masterclasses with you over the last few years, but I was actually driving in my car and all of a sudden a lightning bolt moment happened and I thought about creating this show, and all of a sudden your face just whacked me in the face and I'm like, oh my God, I have to have Howard Fine for the pilot. And I was like, oh my God, Howard's going to be here in a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for agreeing to chat with us at The Actors Process.
I love talking about the process.
Who has inspired your work?
Many people, but I would say I credit so much of my teaching to Uta Hagen. What I loved about Hagen is she never set herself up as a guru.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, if people applauded when she walked into the room, she'd hush them and say, stop that. And she approached the work as a scientist would. She kept examining the craft and wrote Respect for Acting, and then thought she could do better and wrote a challenge for the actor. And if she
constantly evolving,
always learning, and always presenting herself as a colleague in the process. So I credit so much of my work to Hagen.
Why I love the acting process is it feels like a never-ending process. You can constantly be delving inside of yourself and finding new parts that want to be expressed and seen and heard. But is acting actually a never-ending process? Is there actually a moment where you go, I can act now?
Well, I think for any artist, it's a lifelong process of wanting to grow. Yeah. The true artist is never satisfied, restless spirit. But there's a point of acting technique that becomes finite, certain fundamentals to learn, but then it's ultimately the study of human behavior, and that we are learning about for a lifetime.
Do you find that a lot of actors come to you that are actually looking for a shortcut and an end result?
Oh, I live in Los Angeles. Very much so. I think more and more world over, we're living in a fast food society of the quick result, what's the trick? And there is none. If somebody promises you an easy, quick step technique, that's full of BS.
What are the common acting mistakes that you see in your studio?
It really has to do with the difference between how and why. In life, we start with thoughts and feelings, and we find the words to express those thoughts and feelings, the why. The acting common mistake is how. So instead of finding the thoughts and feelings that make us need words, the actor is focused on how to play this moment, how to show something to the audience. And then this idea of playing a character is really...
They feel like the character's outside of themselves.
How many characters do you play in the course of a day?
Probably about 20 to 50, I would say.
And who are they?
They've all got different names.
Oh, do you? Oh, you even have names.
Yeah, I do.
But depending on the age and the experience level of who we speak to, it changes our self-concept. If I speak to a young acting student who's just moved to town, I feel as if I'm Father Time dispensing pearls of wisdom from on high. Yeah. But if I talk to a scientist working on a cure for cancer, I think I'm an idiot. So we have such a range of characters living inside us, and it's so easy to look at a role and say, that's not me.
Do you find that actors are attracted to scripts that actually have a part of themselves that haven't been expressed, and they're aching to actually express that part of themselves?
Well, true actors are.
Yeah.
But let's face it, it's easy to look at a script that's heroic and say, that character, that's me, I'm a great person, Mother Teresa. But it's harder to look at a serial killer and say, that's me. And that's really where the test comes in. Judging the character is so easy to do because we don't see ourselves.
It's like if you were going to play Hitler, you would have to find the part of yourself that can justify.
Or thinks you're doing right in some way. No matter what the role is, you have to find a way to connect to it. That's why some people, they'll identify the antagonist and the protagonist. And I'll say, who's the antagonist? No one sees themselves as the antagonist.
Because you're the hero in your own story.
We all are. Everyone else is the problem.
Howard, everyone on social media loves quotes. What's your favourite quote?
Well, actually, I discovered this quote here in Australia, so it's fitting. Our student, Yana Wilkes, came back from a motivational seminar with a man by the name of Wilson Luna. And she shared this with me, and it's now my new favorite quote.
Ooh, what is it?
And Wilson Luna said, "The way you do one thing is the way you do everything."
The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And how can actors apply that to acting craft?
Well, if you tend to shortcut one task that you do, chances are you approach everything in your life that way. And I have added something to that. If you can't change one thing, you can't change anything.
You have to be flexible.
Well, we had a student, and actually she's working now, she would say "like" every other word. And I picked on her because it makes people sound unintelligent. And one day she left class crying. And I thought, oh, she'll never be back. She came back, she got that word out of her vocabulary, and then she took off in terms of everything she was learning. And I said to her, what happened? She said, when I realized I could change one thing, I realized I could change everything and I could learn.
Wow. Because I know how much you love Meryl Streep, and I have to admit she is one of my favourite actresses as well, I thought I would read some of her words so we could discuss.
Love to hear it.
I don't visualise the person. I visualise aspects of me that I can enhance to be this person. So I don't see a different person than myself, but I see the things about me I can shift or emphasise or de-emphasise to make this character. Meryl Streep.
Well, doesn't that go with what we were just discussing?
Exactly.
That every character is inside the self. You know, common criticism will be, the actor is the same in every role, they're just being themselves. The truth is they're not being themselves. They're playing the same idea of themselves in every role. We change from moment to moment. So that's so great to hear Streep, who I think is the greatest living actor on the planet, say that, because it doesn't surprise me. She's known for playing different characters, different accents, different languages, but she finds them all inside herself.
Like Sophie's Choice.
My favorite film. Thank you for
I know that.
reference. You did your homework. But look at Streep in that movie. She's changing language, she's changing accent, and she's finding everything inside herself, which makes it so believable.
So with accent, if an actor is given a role in a film, a TV show, or a play, and they have to have a French accent, or for us Australians, an American accent, which is very common, do you suggest that the actors actually, before they're getting the part, should be rehearsing different accents?
Constantly. Last year I worked with Carla Gugino, who was doing Fugard's The Road to Mecca on Broadway, and she needed a South African accent.
Wow, that's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. So she spoke that way constantly. You go out and about, you speak to friends, family, let them make fun of you, it's fine. But master it until it becomes part of you, and then pick up the dialogue.
And today's question is from Robert Toretto, an actor in London. And he asks, Howard, being an actor for me is as much about embracing my humanity as it is technique. Some days are really difficult to bring the energy to your work. How do you recommend an actor deal with the ups and downs of being a human being while still being able to be in peak performance every shoot?
Thank you so much for your question. It is about having a full life, not postponing happiness till you get that next job, next career break. If you live a life that fulfills you on a daily basis, it takes away the desperation, it takes away the need to prove yourself. And if you live a life that completes you and makes you happy, and I would say find some type of spirituality, because your energy can't just be going out, you have to have something that comes in. So however you find that, you need to find a way of living a good life on a daily basis.
Because casting agents, they can smell need, like that you're really, really desperate, can't they?
Yes, and actors need to be able to walk into rooms and not need anything from anybody. That's why when you are working, you book more work, because you feel good about yourself when you walk into a room. So
and you have the expectation that you can.
yes, because you know it's possible.
Yeah.
But if you're happy on a daily basis, and you go in not to audition, but for the joy of the work, and every time you work, you have to work from a joyful place.
So, Howard, do you have a daily habit?
I do. It is actually connected to my dog, and it's my favorite thing in the morning, and that is our morning walk together.
Aww.
He gets his longest walk, and I get to collect myself and have some time to just organize for the day.
So, what acting habit do you suggest actors get into every day or every second day, every week to keep evolving their craft?
I would say first, start with stillness. To be able to make yourself absolutely still, including your body, for any period of time, means that physically what you will do will be by choice, not by habit. Jean-Louis Rodrigue, who teaches the Alexander technique, and who is my colleague, says habits are the most controlling forces in our lives because they're unconscious to us.
And I was also thinking a great habit for actors to get into is to just start bringing what they learn at acting class into their everyday life. So actually, even if they're working a 9-to-5 job that they're not 100% happy in, they can still be listening, they can still be responding truthfully, they can be seeing what's triggering them moment to moment. They can be working as an actor every day.
All the time.
Yeah.
And you've got to find things that replenish you. Read, spend a day at a museum, anything that's going to kindle your own artistic spirit, because it can't just be going out. You've got to do things that stimulate you.
Because you're really big on actors reading.
I am.
I mean, I would suggest actors reading a play a week.
Absolutely. All art is derivative. So if you start with the Greeks and Shakespeare and just make a realistic goal, you're going to read one play a week all the way up to modern day, you will be able to cold read so much better because you'll pick up a script and see the derivation.
We actually have a group in Melbourne that actually get together about once a month and actually read a play. It's called the Tea and Play Reading.
It's a great way to socialise.
So yeah, you have your tea and you socialise, but it's a great way, as you said, to practice your cold reading and become familiar with different plays.
Absolutely, and that's how you will pick up a script and see what's really going on in it.
Freeing the Actor is excited to give all of you up-and-coming De Niros and Streeps out there the opportunity to apply for the $5,000 Actors Scholarship. This is an amazing opportunity for actors wanting to do more training, make a film, or fly to LA. The lucky winner will also have their work shown on the season finale of The Actors Process. Have your work seen by family, friends and the public eye. For more info, go to www.freeingtheactor.com.
Thank you so much, Howard, for joining us at The Actors Process.
Thank you for having me.
And if actors are interested in learning more about your technique, they can purchase your fine book, Fine on Acting, and they can order the class?
Either here in Melbourne or in Los Angeles.
Fantastic. Thank you again.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to our viewers out there, and a big shout out to our amazing crew. Check out theactorsprocess.tv and find out how you can have your work seen by becoming our Viewer of the Month. So, what is truthful acting? We want to hear your opinion. Check out our weekly blog and leave us your feedback. So much is possible with The Actors Process with your support. So please like us on Facebook, follow our tweets, and please share this episode with your friends. Remember, it's about bringing you and all of you to every part you play. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday on The Actors Process.